Hey everyone. You didn't hear my camera fall and then me go, oh no, because I didn't mute my mic at all. That is not what happens. You're crazy. Absolutely crazy. Although I do have good news for everyone. I'll turn this off. I do have good news for everyone if you've been following the Azedra canon. You've been deep in the Azedra lore. You'll know that I've been using my cell phone as a webcam. Because I just, couldn't before. I mean, I say couldn't afford a webcam like it's some crazy expense, but it's really not. It's just that I was paying all the bills and stuff. Didn't have spare money at all. Now I do. Like enough to at least get a $15 webcam. And that'll be getting delivered later on today. So hopefully on Saturday on the next stream, I'll have a new webcam up. Everything, you won't have to deal with any weird angles anymore. Won't have to deal with it falling anymore. And it'll be a bit more of a clear picture. It goes up to 1080p. I can only do up to 480p on my phone right now because I'm not paying like $10 for cell phone camera software to stream with when I'm not wanting to buy a camera. Like I just get the camera at that point. You know what I mean? Anyway, all that is to say that this stream's quality will be improving. There'll be better cameras, everything's gonna be a-okay now. You guys are gonna have to deal with me for a second while I fix camera angles, though, because this is bad. I'm so excited to not have to do this ever again. How did this... See, like, that's wild. How did that move? Streaming's weird. Is my game one moved? Nope. Okay. Y'all see nothing. You know nothing of my... Can I, like... Yeah, let's get that white out of there. But I'm not centered anymore. Okay. But yeah. There's a day before we get into work on this glorious, glorious Thursday? Third day, right? Thursday. I wanted to go over a bit of what I've been seeing get pretty prevalent. And, I mean, this isn't like... I want to preface this with, I'm not hating on anyone. Because, like, this isn't the whole fucking, oh, people on Twitch are popular for doing a thing.
No.
I'm so... stop. Shut up. Shut up, Milton T. Pike. Are you playing Conan X? Sorry. Like, I'm not hating or anything. Like, it's not the whole, oh, hot tub streamers are ruining America. It's, no. What it is me going and noticing that there is a lot, and I mean this when I say a lot of high viewer slots players, like actual gambling players on Twitch. I'm sure you've seen some of the meta at least. Let me get some stuff set up here and we'll start a segment out. I want to see if there's anyone even... Yeah, there's people streaming with 10, 20k people right now. Like, you can check any time of the day, and even if train wrecks and people and Crow are not on, there are people with over 10k viewers that are, like, watching people bet insane amounts of money. Just insane amounts. If you spend a lot of time on Twitch, you will have noticed that there are certain kind of trends that go on the platform, and usually it's stuff that your Reddit soy types like to complain about. I mean, it'll be, oh, there's body painters on Twitch. Oh no, the pretty women are now sitting in front of cameras and doing squats. Oh no, it's hot tubs on Twitch. But there are other trends too. I'm chasing one of them myself. Like, politics did trend on, become a trend on Twitch for quite a while, and it's died down a bit with new streamers coming out, but there are still a decent bit of politics viewers out there on Twitch. That's not what I'm talking about today. I personally don't care if attractive women are pulling people into their like chats and communities to donate or whatever by sitting around in a hot tub and talking to them. Don't really care. I don't see why anyone would. I've never gotten any people who say that they get tons recommended to them too, by the way. Huge self-report. I have never had a hot tub stream recommended to me. Like, you go to the front page of my Twitch and it's all just like either video games or politics. That's it. Because I've never went to like an Amaranth stream or a hot tub stream or anything like that, because it's not my type of content. So if you're getting them recommended to you constantly, just think about like what your SEO says about you. Like, there's a reason that you are constantly getting like women in hot tubs pushed at you, and it's not because Twitch doesn't care about their consumers and just wants to make... I mean, they also don't care about you, but it's not because they don't care about you and want to make money off titties that you're like getting these pushed to you. They want to make money off titties, and they're pushing them to you because you watch them. Like, it's entirely different there. Anyway, I digress. What I'm actually here to talk about today is the newest trend that I think actually has some harm to talk about, and that is slot streamers. There has been a big gambling meta that has popped up on Twitch recently. And I mean, it's from people with like bigger and bigger names like XQC and Trainwrecks. But I mean, even smaller names will get 10K to 1,000 viewers. And I mean, I say smaller and that like they sit around that like 1,000 viewer kind of range usually. And like, and the only reason I say smaller is because Trainwrecks will stream and get 60, 70,000 people, no problem. XQC hits insane numbers. Oh, fuck, where is I going with that? Sorry, let me get some water. My throat's so dry. And this video is gonna be cut to shit. But the viewership for this type of content has gone way, way, way up. And this, like I said, is actually harmful. I mean, gambling addiction is no joke. Take it from someone who lives somewhere where gambling is not only prevalent, it's our economy. Gambling addiction ruins lives. I see it every day. I've seen people sitting outside of casinos literally wondering what they're going to tell their wife because they just gambled away their mortgage payment again. Like, gambling addiction is absolutely no joke, and it works on your brain the exact same way other types of addictions do. It works on the same predatory functions, the same sections of your brain light up. And like when you're gambling, your medial frontal cortex lights up. And what that correlates to is risk taking behaviors, like you being willing to like show little change dependent on your reward history. So you'll still be willing to take those risks take those risks no matter how non-prevalent the reward has been for you. Just knowing that there's the possibility of a reward will get you to continue to hit that button or play the hand, so on and so forth. I find it kind of just ironic that a community of people who were just a week ago, not even just a week ago, still today, screaming and complaining and crying that there's just so many women who are sitting around in bathing suits on Twitch, and like and that little girls are going to see women in bathing suits on Twitch, and they're going to get influenced by that, and that's why that needs to be pulled off Twitch. Which, by the way, bullshit. It's just, that was just sexism. You just didn't like it that women were being attractive and getting money for it. That's all that ever is. But it's ironic to me that these people will use that excuse when it's to try to pull women and them being attractive off of a platform. Yet they have no problem whatsoever when there's someone who is literally has a audience of children. Like, I don't know if you can say that for... I'm honestly, I don't know what the demographic range for Amaranth and people like that are. I assume it probably gauges to like the 16 to like 30-ish range, right? Trainwrecks in XQC has an audience of... Well, there's also a bunch of live stream fail idiots out there, but actual children. Like, actual children. The guy plays Minecraft all the time. The guy plays like Subnautica and Terraria on like he has a child following that's pretty large amongst his fan base. And I mean, like, God, let's look up how many followers Trainwrecks or XQC has. XQC Social Blade Twitch. Yeah, you bet XQC is A++ grade. I mean, he's the 12th ranked person for Twitch in general. So, like, it's pretty is pretty nutty. Like, is there a way for me to see his total followers? Right now, he currently has 100 and oh wait, that's last third wait, that's last 30 days gained. Oh my god, no way. Hold on, quick aside. I need to see how like exact this is because there's no way he's gotten 200,000 followers in a month. No fucking way. No fucking way. No way. Oh my god. He's averaging like 10K a day. He probably did then. Whoa. Where can I see the total follower count then? Oh my god. So XQC at this current moment has 5.7 million followers. Like, you have to be kidding yourself if you think the 12th most followed person on Twitch with almost 6 million followers doesn't have a massive child fan base that's following him and watching everything he does. I mean, he was just doing Grand Theft Auto roleplay as his big thing for a while, up until his fifth or sixth ban on that server. So to not have a problem with people like that sitting there and just playing slots with real money, like, and going and dumping more and more and more in, chasing that next high, chasing that next hit, like showing, like, having that in front of your child audience, but you don't, but like you do have a problem with women being not even naked in swimsuits, like things you would see at the beach or at a pool. Then like your priorities are entirely, well, first of all, you didn't actually care about children in the first place. You're a liar. Like your priorities are completely fucked and you just cared about women that you didn't like being deplatformed off of Twitch. But even if like you're not trying to look at it from the like fan base like perspective, which is the right way to look at it, you can even just look at like how this is going to affect some of these people who are streaming. I mean, XQC and Trainwrecks are probably going to be fine while they're doing their insane like $50,000 polls and stuff. Like, they'll probably be fine because they make insane amounts of money anyway. But there's like 1,000 viewer, 100 viewer Andes in here. Like, I'm scrolling through it right now. There are literally like hundreds of people who are like between 10 to, or sorry, like I'll pare it down a bit. Well, there's like maybe 50 to 100 people I'm looking at right now who are sitting between 100 and 1,000 subscriber viewers on Twitch right now for slots, and that's just slots. Like if I went out to poker, there's an entirely different section for poker that has less of a viewership but still has it. And I mean, I I shouldn't have to explain to you why gambling addiction is bad, or just why exposure to this much gambling and like at this high stakes of a level can have some damaging effects. But I'm going to, just because I mean, I don't know, growing up in an area where gambling addiction is prevalent, it kind of feels like it's stuff that's second nature to you, like you understand it intuitively. So I don't know if this is just something that I've internalized and like it's not normal to people who live out of gambling areas, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if this is just something where I'm like use common sense but it's not actually common. But compulsive gambling, depending on what study you're looking at, can affect it up to 1.5 to 1.9%. It's about a 0.4% variance We'll stick with 1.5% because that's a clean number, and it makes it easier to work with. That is roughly around 3.5 million Americans that have a compulsory gambling problem. Now, what compulsory gambling is, it has to be there. It's not just you gamble a lot and sometimes you lose money and it's bad. It has to have gotten to the point where it is being largely detrimental to your life, just like any addiction. It's treated just like any addiction. It has to get to the point where it is getting negatively impactful on your life, and you are at the point where you are chasing more and more highs, betting more and more money, trying to get a higher and higher return. You're shirking other responsibilities, spending all of your money on gambling. You'll literally decide not to eat at certain meals in order to have more money to gamble at certain points. Compulsory gambling or like compulsive gambling or gambling addiction in adults is an absolute menace that can destroy your life, and it affects a lot of people in America. Now, that's not because they're weak or anything like that. It's literally the way that gambling's designed. Remember, I said that that's compulsive behavior to where it's actually considered an addiction. It still affects every way on the base level. It affects everyone the same way. That you're, like I said before, your medial frontal cortex is, God, I sound like such a nerd when I said that. Holy shit. But your medial frontal cortex is lighting up, and that is making you more and more susceptible to risk-taking behavior. And this is actually proven by John Hopkins. There was a study done where I believe it was monkeys and food and water, where essentially they would have a chance to receive like 1 unit of water. I think it was like 10 milliliters or something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers on how much water they gave them. Or 3 of those units of that from a different dispenser. But the one dispenser always gave you 1 drop of 1 unit of water every time you went up to it, and the other one didn't. It was a gamble to do. And it was found that more often than not, well, also they were like watching for brain activity too while they're doing it. But it was found that more often than not, the monkeys will go to the one that gives them 3 droplets if it goes off, far, far, far more often than the one that will give them 1 every single time. Like, it doesn't matter how often it is that you're getting this reward. It doesn't matter how readily available other smaller rewards are. The brain will prefer for you to go after the larger reward that you know at least exists. You know that the reward exists and that it's possible for you to obtain it, and that's what the important part is. Like, that's how you get tricked into continually hitting the button, continuing playing that next hand, getting into your next hand of blackjack. Like, that's how gambling works. And it's extremely predatory. I mean, it specifically hits around people who, like, are already adverse to, or like risk-taking behavior, are already there, like, ready to go at it. I don't know why I said adverse. That's the opposite of that. I'm an idiot. But it targets people who are already, like, susceptible to risk-taking behavior, and feeds a certain part of your brain that is continuously feeding you dopamine and getting you just right back there wanting to hit the button again, knowing there's the possibility of that big jackpot coming. This is the same type of psychology and like behavior that led us to having a big conversation about loot boxes and loot boxes getting banned in the EU by the EU Trade Commission for in video games for children because it's incredibly predatory behavior. It feeds off the exact same spot in your brain. It's just gambling. And we intuitively understood why gambling is bad, right? Like, we intuitively understand why pushing gambling in a medium that is heavily around children is a bad thing to do. Now, we go back to, once again, Twitch. I don't see just how these people who have been yelling think about the children were pushing against loot boxes when it was against EA are all suddenly pro gambling and not even because I'm not even anti gambling. Like, I play poker, I like it, it's fun. Like, but pro gambling in spaces that are like heavily around children. It's wild to me that somehow the anti loot box, anti hot tub streamer crowd is pro slots because XQC likes slots. I mean, just because I didn't believe this when I first heard it either. Let's go ahead and take a. Ooh, I need to mess this camera a bit. Sorry, guys. Quick aside. Quick aside. But I didn't believe it either when I first heard that they were even allowing like people to play slots on Twitch. But here we are. And it wasn't a problem up until people like Trainwrecks and XQC started doing it, because that's when people with like larger and larger audiences started doing it, and more smaller content creators that really can't afford to be doing this type of thing jumped in on the bandwagon. Here's a video of, let's see, yeah, here's XQC doing, I don't know, it's some book slot machine. I think it's like
Fuck.
I think that's his pulls there. So like what, $40 a pull?
Ace. Nope.
That's already a pretty high, like, for a slot in Vegas. Like, you'll see some higher end slots where you're doing some kind of bigger pulls, but $40 pulls is already pretty big, and you can get to like you on these like online slot machines, you can get up to where you're betting thousands of dollars at a time. It's insane. Like, online gambling is not regulated the way that like even loot boxes were. It's kind of nutty.
I'm going down bad here, X. I'm going down bad, man.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
You're telling me that this doesn't appeal to a child audience? Like, if you've never watched XQC streams before, you may like think I'm being a bit ridiculous saying that this appeals to a child audience and has convinced a bunch of smaller streamers to jump up on the bandwagon. But I mean, this is the way that XQC acts pretty much all of the time. And you're watching as these dudes will, as they're betting with their chatter's money, essentially, suddenly start getting giant, massive pulls. And it's the same thing where you saw people start, like, really getting big into collecting cards and stuff like that, because they saw streamers do massive pulls, and they thought that they could start making money off of it. Like, there is, unfortunately, with waves like these of popularity, there are going to be people that chase it. And when the thing that, like, you're making popular is literally online slots, you're going to be causing a lot of harm out there.
Baby, up and down! How much is that?
Oh my god.
I don't know how much it's gonna be. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. Oh my god, it keeps going up. It keeps going up.
Oh my god.
It keeps going up.
Oh my god.
How much?
How much? Oh my god, how much?
120,000 stones!
Like, that's... You're watching as someone wins 123,000 pounds. Like, tell me that this wouldn't be enticing to you if you didn't know how much money was being put into this. Like, I'm willing to bet that XQC put in way more money than the 120,000 pounds before he ever hit this. Because XQC has been doing this for at least a month now. Excuse me, sorry about that. As XQC has been doing this for like at least a month now. There's no way that he's actually coming out like green over this. And even if he is coming out green, like, I'd be willing to bet he's not coming out green more than a couple of $1,000. Like, and as with a massive front-end investment while they're gambling. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against gambling in general. Like, I don't mind sitting at a bar and, like, having a drink and playing a slot machine for $5 or, like, $20 or something, you know? Or, like, hitting the tables every once in a while and having some fun. But, like, it's money that I plan on spending to entertain myself. Like, if you get money out of it, that's cool. But it's money that you have to go in expecting to have spent, like you were expecting to buy a video game or what have you. And if it comes out with you not losing that money, that's dope. Like, but this kind of thing gets people in where they're expecting that, like, there's a big chance that they could actually make a lot of money. And that's just not true at all. Like, oh no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Hold on. Like, it's just not true at all. I mean, I sound like a broken record here, but it's just, I've watched so many people destroy their lives with pretty much this exact same setup, except instead of doing it online, they would do it on they would do it inside of a casino. Like, that's the only difference, is that they do it inside of a casino, and casinos would usually they're not letting people do insane like $1,000 pulls and things like that. They'll let you go nutty on a table, but like, you're not going to be doing multi-$1,000 like slot machine pulls at a casino anywhere, at least in the town I'm in.
Shameless shit right there.
And I'm going to be real, as much as gambling, like playing the tables and everything, very bad, like, slot machines specifically are directly designed to be as addictive as possible. Like, that's why they're loud, that's why they're flashy, that's why they have the bonus games where that's where you win your real money and stuff like that. It's multiple layers of things to keep you interested and attracted to playing more of it.
Yes. Good. We'll take the retrig. We like that.
Nice. Just keep it alive.
Keep it alive, yep. Now give me 3 or 4 next. Give me 3 or 4 coins. Juice me here, bitch. Juice me. Yes, yes, yes! What is that?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
What is that?
Man, you got it!
What is
you
that?
Got it! You
What
got
is
it!
that?
You got
What
it!
is that? What is that?
You got it!
720K! Yes!
You got it!
Yes!
You got it!
Yes!
You got it! 720,000!
Fuck the haters!
Oh my God!
Fuck the haters! Fuck the haters! Fuck the haters!
And I mean, I'm gonna be real. The rest of this clip is just him yelling "fuck the haters" and going, "Make a hate threat about me, fuck the haters." Like, yeah, that's a huge amount of money to win, and that's awesome. Like, I hope he didn't put anywhere near that amount into online gambling before he hit that. Like, I have no idea on that. But, like, the haters thing are his fans telling him that they were worried that he was getting addicted to online gambling and spending more and more and more time, spending more and more and more money doing just this all day. And surprising, at least to not me and to anyone who understands gambling addiction, this clip goes on to him keeping playing. He continues to play those slots after he hit the biggest jackpot he could and won almost $1 million off gambling. He continued to hit the slots. Like, this is not healthy behavior. This isn't something that, like, we should be promoting as society. And especially not on a platform like Twitch, where people like Trainwrecks and XQC have a really big, really young following. I hate to say it, but, like, as much as I like gambling, as much as I think it's fun to do, you just cannot let it permeate spaces like this, because this is the kind of thing that happens. Like, this man is undoubtedly going to be a gambling addict. Luckily, he'll be okay being a slots addict because he has, like, a massive following, has tons of money from that massive Twitch following, and lucked out and just won almost $1 million. So he'll be fine. But for the hundreds of other people who are joining up on, like, the bandwagon, 30, 50 viewer Andys who are joining on the bandwagon, 100 viewer, 1,000 viewer people, and are going out and YOLOing this much money, throwing out this much, like, that's going to destroy a lot of their lives and thousands of susceptible people's lives who sit there and watch XQC or watch Trainwrecks gamble for a large portion of their day, and then at the end of it think, well, hey, that's something I could do. I could make a little bit of money off that. And then end up not having their rent payment for the next month. Now, it doesn't all, like, the blame doesn't fall on top of the original streamer who was gambling and playing. Not at all. I mean, there still needs to be some personal responsibility taken in there. But as an entire, like, as a people as a whole, we really do need to think about what kind of spaces we're allowing gambling to permeate in. Because there's no way that this ends up well. Even from a PR standpoint, people who are worried about Twitch becoming the hot tub softcore porn site, like that becoming its reputation, you want its reputation to be this? You want its reputation to be dudes sitting around playing slots all day in front of kids? Okay, got it. Oh, I should have poured more water before we started. I'm very thirsty. Ugh. Let me go ahead and close these off. Oh, am I getting a phone call? I am. 1 second, sorry, I just don't know who this is. I got a bunch of notifications. Holy shit, what's going on? We'll continue in a second. Lift me up. Don't lift me up. Sorry. I honestly don't remember what I promised that I was going to go over, so I'm going to my Twitter. It's streaming in the morning is real weird for me, guys. I'm not usually up. Well, I am now, but usually I'm not usually like up this time, so I get a little bit foggy every once in a while. Oh, right. Oh no, I need to pull up the Fartlow thing, don't I? We'll do Bezos' bailout first. Do I have articles up already? I feel like I did. I do. Certain eagle-eyed viewers out there may have noticed something a bit peculiar yesterday when Jeff Bezos. I fucked that intro up so bad. Really? With Jeff Bezos? Dumb boy. This is why you don't ever stream or record, kids. Because you realize how fucking stupid you really are. Like, man, when I started making content, I realized, like, wow. I am an idiot. Oh, wow. This is bad. Certain eagle-eyed viewers out there may know something a bit strange yesterday popping up in the news. I mean, not strange independently, but when you put them two together, it just doesn't sit quite right. For those of you who can't tell by the title and have no idea what I'm talking about, Jeff Bezos, or more accurately, Amazon, acquired MGM Studios yesterday. That's MGM Studios, not the casino. MGM Resorts is a different entity entirely. So think James Bond, not gambling. I guess James Bond gambles a lot. Just think James Bond, okay? But they have went ahead and they're going to acquire MGM for $8.45 billion. And I mean, that acquisition kind of makes a bit of sense. I mean, Amazon already kind of owns some news, or I said news, some movie studios. And Amazon already owns like production studios, owns obviously the distribution for their digital media, all of that. So it makes sense that they're going to try to pick up the James Bond licenses and really anything else that MGM has their hands on. So like I said, not all that strange when you see it in a bubble. But what you may have seen right before that was that the Senate is preparing to offer a $10 billion bailout fund for Jeff Bezos' space firm. The richest man in the world's company just purchased MGM Studios, but may be getting $10 billion as a bailout because the government didn't choose them. They chose Elon Musk's company to be the essentially the farming out of NASA. So because we didn't give Jeff Bezos money to do things, we're considering, which means we're going to do it. We're considering giving Jeff Bezos $10 billion for us not giving him money to do things. Like, this is the state of, this is where we're at right now. You can watch as literally one of the richest men in the world has their company buy out one of the biggest movie studios in the world, but then immediately turn around and ask for a handout and ask for literal billions of dollars because Blue Origin lost its bid. And if those of you maybe just saw the headline and didn't look into it, that's what that was about, by the way. That's why there's that bailout that's even coming out. There was a NASA contract that both Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk were competing for, and Elon Musk won the contract, meaning that Jeff Bezos' space firm didn't have that contract's money coming in, and obviously would no longer be turning a profit. So for the sake of both of these people, both of these massive billionaires, to be able to have active, space firms, our government is going to bail one of them out for billions of dollars after we chose not to use them in the first place. And I think the exact terms were that they think there needs to be a redundancy, and it has to be clear that there can't be a redundancy later. It has to be a redundancy that's set up now. So effectively, Jeff Bezos lost the contract, but then got or is going to get the contract anyway, because they're going to have him get pretty much the same amount of money and just make a redundancy of it. It's absolutely ludicrous that we'll sit here in a society, a country, that'll talk about corporate austerity measures, talk about government austerity, welfare queens and all that. Literally will promise to cancel up to $50,000 of student debt and then just drop that to a total of $0.00 once you get into office. But we'll also openly and just be happy to consider giving another billionaire $10 billion more because his space firm wasn't as good as the other billionaire space firm. People will starve and die. People will go homeless and die to exposure. People can't afford to pay for their medical care. But we need to give another $10 billion to Jeff Bezos. We can't afford as a nation a $15 minimum wage. The federal government definitely couldn't support a universal basic income, which would go back into our economy anyway, for anyone over 18. Nope. We just need to give billions of more dollars to a billionaire because he wasn't a good enough billionaire. This is, unfortunately, the way that politics kind of works. I was actually thinking about it earlier today. It's very funny to me that anarcho-capitalists exist when that might as well be the system that we rock in right now anyway. Sure, there's government regulations and governments have power over corporations in certain senses. But at the end of the day, our governmental systems are there to protect property and those who own the property. So we really are just kind of living under, it might as well be fucking anarcho-capitalism. It's the guys who have all of the money get to make all of the decisions and give some scraps out to the pores to make us think that it's democratic at the moment. That's pretty much what our difference is. It just... there's not too much to say on it until after it comes out. But just know that the procedural vote passed 71-27 for Elon or for Jeff Bezos' bailout. So it's extremely likely that this is going to go through, and that we will be essentially paying Jeff Bezos an extra billion and change over what he just bought a movie studio with. Oh boy. That's just one of those things that there's not much we can do about it. There's not really nothing that you can do about it. It's just accept that this is the way things are right now, and we kind of got to live with it. I mean, you can work on trying to get more and more independent people into your house and into Congress, and that is the grassroots way of affecting any type of change. But that's really going to be your only option, unfortunately. It sucks, and I understand that, but hopefully, I don't know. Here's hoping, give your senator a call, and here's hoping that it drops at the Senate that we're going to allow Jeff Bezos to walk away with billions of more dollars because he was bad at building spaceships. That's going to be an extremely short segment. I didn't have much to say. Yes, that was the last of my water. We'll pretend that didn't happen. Let me close some tabs out here. I had a lot open. Had lots of them opens. Oh God, what does Ben Shabipo have to say?
Very important news. Demi Lovato has come out as non-binary, which is to say Demi Lovato is exactly the same person that she was 3 days ago. Just now, Demi Lovato said...
Yes, actually, good job, Ben Shapiro. You understood it. You understand it entirely. Demi Lovato is the same person she was 3 days ago. That just means that she is now she is now openly putting out that she does not feel like as a man or a woman, that she's non-binary. Like, good job, you understand it. Can we just end the clip here? Before he says something fucked up and transphobic?
Says that she wants to be called they, them, which is weird because she's not separated into more than one human.
Over the past year...
How do conservatives consistently still use that as like a they, them, singular pronoun? Like, how do people still say that when literally they're constantly being made fun of because they, them has been used in a singular sense for fucking decades, hundreds of years? Like, people have been saying, what did they do when referring to someone for a very long time. It's not some newfangled invention, brother. Like, it just kills me that these fucking like, I don't think, I mean, I think Ben Shapiro's pretty dumb, but I don't think he's that dumb, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that he doesn't understand that they and them can be used in a singular sense.
Year and a half, I've been doing some healing and self-reflective work. And through this work, I've had the revelation that I identify as non-binary. With that said, I'll officially be changing my pronouns to they, them. I feel that this best
Officially.
represents the fluidity I feel in my gender expression and allows me to feel most...
What was that little officially, huh? Yeah, she's making an announcement that she's changing her pronouns to they, them. Like,
authentic and
I
true
hate
to
Ben
the
Shapiro
person
so
I both
fucking
know I am
much,
and
dude.
still am discovering.
Let's just be straight about this. This has nothing to do with reality. This has to do with subjective self-perception. You can't officially change your pronouns because there is no box that you check that you have officially now changed your pronouns. And even if there were,
Oh my
this would not
god,
change.
he's legit being that pedantic where he's like, well, actually, you did not fill out a government form, so you did not officially change your pronouns. So, however, it is in your imagination that they, them exists as a singular pronoun. Like, my doctor wife, who is a doctor, has told me that they, them cannot, singularly get a dry-ass pussy.
To the realities on the ground, which is that you are not a plural human being, nor are you quote unquote non-binary. You can't just decide that you're non-binary one day.
He didn't even make an argument. He just said, you can't decide that you're non-binary one day. Like, alright. Killing it with the Ben Shabipo shorts. Like, is that what his TikTok content's like? He just goes, trans bad. I hate the trans. Demi Lovato, non-binary bad, not real. They, them, not real bad. Bye. Like, is that what his content is? Because, I mean, alright. I guess live your best life. I'm that obsessed that I checked it. What of it? What of it? Fight me. Fight me. I just realized it wasn't on a large webcam when I was doing that. Fuck. So stupid. Oh well, you know what, man? Go over next then. I kinda wanna get some water first though. Would anyone be like super offended if I went and got some water first? Wait, I feel like I promised some other thing too, and I didn't follow through on that yet. Twitch, Bezos, Eve Fartlow! I forgot about the fartsters. The farting, the good fartington. Sir Fartington of the Forest. Sorry, I'm just trying to find her article. There it is, the social media program. Also, I want to show you this edit that I made because it's very funny. It's very funny to me, at least. Before I go ahead and go over a bit of some Palestinian coverage, I wanted to take a look at just what the response is that I talk about when I say that if you say anything pro-Palestinian at all, or anti the Israel state at all, or even make fun of someone who is the pro-Israel state at all, you will be called anti-Semitic. Like, it will happen 100% of the time. That is the defensive tactics that come with this territory. Any criticism of Israel, anti-Semitic, they don't need to listen to you. That's how they continue to get away with being, like, people who are pro-Israel will continue to get away with being abashedly bloodthirsty and acting like it's a progressive thing to do. why I'm bringing this up now. I mean, one, I'm going to be covering Palestinians, like, in Gaza in a little bit here. So I'm going to have some people in chat who are going to be very upset that I'm showing Palestinian lives. But two, there has been something hilarious that's happened that proves my point exactly. See, you can't make fun of somebody's last name without it being anti-Semitic anymore. You may have seen what's been going on with recently gone absolutely nuts journalist Eve Barlow. That she has been absolutely harassed, digitally waterboarded even, by a wave of anti-Semitic comments. Those comments being people saying Eve Fartlow to her. Now, I would like to contend that if she didn't want to be called Eve Fartlow, shouldn't have a username Eve Fartlow and be tweeting, "The way I just can't stop farting is noteworthy." This definitely was not an edit that I made. This is definitely real. Her real username is definitely Eve Fartlow. I mean, what could she have meant by this? Still can't figure it out. I've been asking her directly. No one will answer me. I'll figure it out eventually for you soon, though, believers. Don't you worry, truthers. I will get the truth about Fartlow to you. Now, what this is in response to, at least the big waves in me definitely not making this and just finding this and posting it for sure, is she's gone on a bit of a spree of tweeting things like, my Israeli friend, or my friend from Israel, or she didn't even say Israel now I think about it, she just said Jewish. My Jewish friend saw a sign that said free parking and thought it said free Palestine. We are so tired. And things of that nature. People started calling her Eve Fartlow because the internet is filled with children and we think it's hilarious. Because it is hilarious. In response to that, Eve Fartlow made an article called The Social Media Pogrom. And you may have heard me use the term pogrom when I was bringing up Palestine before. If you don't know what a pogrom is, let me show you the definition of pogrom. An organized massacre of a particular ethnic group, in particular that of Jewish people in Russia or Eastern Europe. Now, it's not just Russia and Eastern Europe that this pogroms happened in. Pogroms have been, pogroms have been a thing. They've been happening to the Jewish community for a long time, unfortunately. It is actually extremely disgusting what the Jewish community has been through and what a lot of reactionary and far-right people have done to them. And even what centrists and people who will claim humanitarian on the liberal side will do to Jewish people given the chance and given enough propaganda pushed towards them. That being said, somebody calling your name, somebody saying that your butt smells and that you fart, I don't think gets to constitute a pogrom. So we're going to go ahead and go through a bit of this article here and see if it's just very, very reasonable what she's saying. And maybe we're the ridiculous ones. After all, there's other reporters that are quote tweeting her and saying, after putting out an article talking about the struggles of being a Jewish American author, Jewish American, oh God, why can't I think of the word? Why can't I think of the word person who writes news articles? Journalist. Jesus. The struggles of being a Jewish American journalist. These trolls just want to talk out and throw more anti-Semitic comments like Fartlow. So maybe we're in the wrong here, and this article will actually change my mind. Let's go ahead and go over it and see. I don't know who crafted the first tweet that simply said Eve Fartlow, but whoever it was, bot or human, started a fire. Over the past 2 weeks, Twitter has been littered with the words Eve Fartlow. Every time I tweet, this title is the response I attract, and it has pelted at me irrespective of what I write. Hundreds of trolls, some with blue ticks and some without, just responding to me, Eve Fartlow. Some people have recently switched to Eve Shartlow, but Eve Fartlow seems to be the one that sticks. If we donated a JNF tree to Israel for every time someone tweeted Eve Fartlow, there'd be no Negev left. Tensions in the Middle East erupted this past month, so you may be thinking, why is this dumb Zionist liar playing the victim? She should cope. Still not sure what this means. Oh my god. Okay, so they're telling you to maybe instead of going out and posting a bunch of things like, I saw a sign that said, or my friend saw a sign that said free parking and thought that it said a sign that said free Palestine. It's so anti-Semitic. Maybe instead of doing that, you should learn some coping mechanisms. She's complaining to me from her Los Angeles apartment about people spelling her name in a dumb way online. She's not wading through the rubble. She's not running from rocket fire. She's not surrounded by senseless violence. Let's ratio her. By the way, if you're the type of person who is doing coverage on Israel and Palestine, no matter which side you're on, even if you are on the Zionist side and you are pushing this one-sided narrative of just being Hamas attacks and Israel is just attacking Hamas and there's any civilian death is just coincidental and they're not targeting hospitals, yada yada yada. Even if you're doing that, if your type of you're not as bad as the type of person whose brain is doing that, but then has people criticize them and thinks the first thing that pops into their head isn't, why do these people disagree with me on what I'm saying here? They're thinking, oh God, someone's going to ratio me. That's all they're thinking about is ratioing me. If you're that type of person, you're kind of a self-obsessed scum, in my opinion. Regardless of what your positions on anything else are, if at the end of the day your positions, what your position on something was, doesn't matter to you as much as you thinking somebody thinks they want to ratio you, you're kind of a bad person. Also, if you see someone doing war crime apologia, or you're seeing someone, I don't know, go and be going and being anti-Semitic, and your thought isn't going and speaking up against that, your thought is just ratioing them, once again, bad person. You're pretty self-obsessed and a bad person, in my opinion. You should really be caring way more about the subject than being ratioed or being the ratioer. Let's get back to the article. You're right. I have not been living in a bomb shelter. I have not had my house cave in. So I've asked myself the same thing, because neither have all the people, or bots, tweeting my name incorrectly, doing everything they can to discredit the messaging I'm trying to relay to my followers, to challenge the way this conflict has been narrated by mainstream media and social media influencers. By mainstream media, literally the mainstream media loves Israel. Like, the mainstream media plays defense for Israel all the time, to the point where people are getting, like, I was pleasantly surprised when a CNBC anchor just asked about the coalition government and Netanyahu. Nothing else there. All he did was acknowledge that Palestinians were people and then ask about the coalition government that was working to oust Netanyahu. And that was a huge, like, surprise for me that I was pleasantly surprised about. So this whole, like, mainstream media narrative, that it's something that people love to do when they know they're in the wrong, but they just want to feel like they are like they're in this like minority that's fighting the good fight. Like, you'll hear the same thing from literally Tucker Carlson will sit on Fox News and talk about how the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear this. And it's like, you're the most popular news channel out there. What the fuck are you talking about? It's always just a lie to cover up them knowing that their position is on shaky ground. Due to the juvenile nature of this Eve Fartlow attack, which sounds like it was invented by some 3-year-old high on Pop-Tarts, I wonder if the bombardment of Eve Fartlow tweets was engineered to drive me insane. Like, yeah, people saying Eve Fartlow to you has been engineered in the lab by Democrats and Republicans alike. We got together and we decided we were going to make Democrats, Republicans, socialists, anarchists, fascists too. All of us got together in a room and decided that we were going to tweet Eve Fartlow at you to drive you insane. Perhaps it was a form of digital waterboarding aimed at forcing me to surrender. Delete all of my accounts, log out of all my vices, and commit digital suicide. Like, digital waterboarding is not a phrase I have ever heard before in my life. And I'm hoping I won't ever hear again unless it's being used to make fun of Eve Fartlow. Eve Fartlow. Didn't mean to mispronounce her name. It is absolutely wild for you to not only call this a pogrom, like, once again, an ethnic cleansing online on social media, because people are calling you Fartlow, but now they are digitally waterboarding you and trying to drive you insane and make you surrender and delete your accounts. Like, imagine having that fragile of an ego that having the words Fartlow sent to you over and over again didn't make you go, maybe I'll, maybe I'll private my replies on tweets or something. Maybe I'll, maybe I'll log off Twitter for a little bit, take a sabbatical. Like, not let it get to me as much. No. Like, obviously, what the rational response would be to delete every account you have online and then log out of every, device. No more cell phone, no more computer for you, nothing. That's the clear, logical conclusion of that. That's the way that you should handle things. Eve Barlow is not my name, regardless of how many thousands of times it's echoed back at me by trolls online. Yeah, it's because it's Fartlow. We're just trying to help you with that. But unfortunately for the troll army, Eve Barlow isn't really my name either. I just told you that. Like, why? She doesn't listen. Barlow has been my family's name for 3 generations, but before that, our name was Berevelich. I think it's Berevelich. We changed it when my family fled Tsarist Russia during the Eastern European pogroms in the late 19th century. Literally, you know what a pogrom is. Like, you know, you're referencing a specific one. How do you not recognize that it's really gross to compare people calling you a smell butt to your family and your family's friends and countrymen being murdered. And before Barlow was Berevelich, it was Dovber. That name is my connection to the Levant. I assume that that's probably like some religious thing, right? I'm not particularly religious, so I don't know what a Levant or anything is. The Levant is it's just an area. It's an area, like, is it Jordan? It looks like it's in Jordan. But wouldn't it be in Israel? Hold on. We're gonna learn something today, boys. Oh, this all is the Levant. Okay. Okay. So Syria, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, like everything. Probably a bit of what Turkey used to have. Oh my god. So yeah, the Levant is pretty much. I mean, let me just go into the Wikipedia to make sure that that wasn't inaccurate. But I think that's like a lot of countries, dude. It is. It's Cyprus, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, Turkey, Egypt, Greece, Iraq. Okay. I wonder what the etymology on that is. And originally the East or Mediterranean lands of East Italy. It's borrowed from the French Levant, rising. I was going to say, I knew Levant was rising. Referencing the rising sun in the East. Okay, that makes sense. And we're learning things today, boys. That's cool. Okay. I mean, we'll go back to it. It doesn't really have too much to do with what she was saying. It's just when I see new things that I don't know, I like to look them up. That is my connection to Levant. That is my indigenous link to Israel. You want to talk about ethnic cleansing? Ask your Jewish friends the stories of their surnames. Yeah, we could. Yeah, we should talk about ethnic cleansing that way too. Yeah, that was bad. That was a really bad thing that happened. Like, I don't get her point there. Is she saying that ethnic cleansing can't be happening in Palestine because ethnic cleansing happened in the past to the Jewish people? Because that just makes absolutely no sense. In fact, you would think that a nation of people who have gone through ethnic cleansings would reactively want to fight against any ethnic cleansing happening to any other group, whether it be them or not. You think that they'd have very visceral reactions to that, right? But no, kind of weird. Eve Fartlow is an intimidation tactic. Oh my god. A playground jibe meant to drown out my voice online. My words must be silenced as quickly as possible by the hammer and sickle emoji comrades who love humanity so much that they want anyone who threatens their concept of utopia to kill themselves. Guys, I didn't know if you knew this, but saying somebody farts and has a smell butt is the same thing as you telling them to kill themselves. Just, it is. I don't make the rules. I guess we just have to play by them, and that's the rule. You say smell butt, that mean die. We can't. I didn't know I'd been committing graves acts of violence this entire time against Miss Smellbutt. 2 weeks ago, as Westerners began educating themselves about Sheikh Jarrah and the Iron Dome through stick figures with biased speech. What? What the fuck are they talking about? Stick figures with biased speech bubbles on the Diet Prada and Refinery. Oh, Instagram. Okay. Refinery 29. What is that? Instagram. I want to see what she's talking about. Okay. Well, I mean, I can find anything there. I coined it the world's first social media pogrom. The activity that Jews, Zionist Jews in particular, experienced all over the web was bizarre at best and invalidating, abusive, and dehumanizing at worst. I just wanted to go out and tweet about how it was okay to bomb Palestinian buildings, but then the woke left tried to cancel me. Sorry, I lost my spot. Zionist Jews weren't just being unfollowed for advocating for themselves and their brothers and sisters in Israel and Palestine. Why are they there in Palestine, by the way? Because she doesn't mean Palestinians are their brothers. She doesn't believe that. Like, you see some of the shit she's posted, she doesn't believe that. Why are the settlers in Palestine, Miss Fartlow? Like, why are they there? Why are the evictions in Sheikh Jarrah happening? Is it because they didn't pay rent? No, not that. Oh, you mean those people own those homes? I wonder why those 40 families are being evicted then. Kind of wild, right? We are also losing access to direct message and comment abilities, having posts removed for violating community guidelines, and having other accounts threatened with temporary suspension or closure. Like, maybe if you didn't actively lie, you wouldn't have, like, you wouldn't be against community guidelines. Like, what? The cherry on top, of course, was that we were simultaneously fighting off a barrage of thousands upon thousands of troll comments and hateful direct messages, which frequently include homophobic, misogynistic, and extremely violent language. Like, that's the one part that I do think is probably true from this article. Like, if you have any kind of presence online at all for doing literally anything, you get a barrage of just hate, just pure hate, that will be the most disgusting types. Like, it'll be racist, it'll be misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, whatever someone will think will push a button, they will scream at you in your DMs. That part is definitely true. Some people even generously took the time to record voice messages. I received a few of those, including one woman from a British accent calling for my family to burn in hell. She sang it, or tried to. I assume this is probably the quote? No, it's not. What? In the streets of major cities around the world, Jews have been targeted with fireworks, fists, and human spit. Who knew this could happen? Well, we did, and we tried to make noise about it. Like, literally... yes, there is a rise of anti-Semitism that's happened, by the way, because people are using the Palestinian conflict as an excuse to pretend to be pro-Palestine and just be anti-Jew. That's disgusting and absolutely needs to not only be called out, but those people need to be arrested. Like, that the shit needs to get done about that. Anti-Semitism is a big problem in the US and across the world entirely. However, I reject entirely that you are not allowed to criticize Israel's actions in Palestine, to speak about Palestinians as human beings, to support Palestine, and to believe in a free Palestine without it being anti-Semitic. I refuse to accept that notion, because that is just a Israel talking point that's trying to silence you and keep you from ever speaking out against them at all. The seeds of this pogrom have been sown for a while. Online, there are different degrees of erasure and exclusion. First comes the unfollow, which hurts especially from those we consider friends, those we love and cherish, whose memories are still fresh. How much longer is the rest of this? Oh my god. She's still going. Alright, I'm not going through the rest of that. Just know, if you ever dare say that someone, especially a journalist, who goes out and says that signs that say free parking reminder of Palestine, and that is a sign that she's being discriminated against, if you ever dare say that kind of person has a stinky butt, you're a devout anti-Semite. God damn, that's so stupid, dude. Like, I keep on having reaction videos I want to do, but too much good, stupid shit happens. And I'm like, well, I gotta do that. I gotta do that. How can I not do that? We're reaching that time, boys, where I may need to go to the bathroom and get some water, though. Give me a second, and I'll get us a video to watch and go over. And actually, yeah, we'll and then we're gonna do some Palestines, some Palestines. I'm probably not gonna video game today. I have like another hour before work, hour-ish. So I think I'm just gonna do Palestine coverage, and then we'll end it out on that, okay? But we'll do some funds and stuff too. Don't worry, we'll have. I don't want to do another Tier Zoo video though. I do too many Tier Zoo videos, I feel like. Oh, right, I never even did the Rick Santorum thing either. Oh my god. Yeah, I have a lot that we can still go over too. Shit. That's crazy. Like, legit, I was worried about having content today. And, like, no, I got content for sure, for sure. Let's, I don't know, what do you guys have? Hey, this sounds cool. I've never listened to a Rasputin. Is Rasputin a reactionary? Hold on.
I love vibe checks in video games. And to be clear, when I say vibe check, I mean it in the purest sense of the phrase.
Hold on, I'm going through this channel to make sure this dude's not a reactionary. Actually, you know what? Why am I doing that when there is one of the greatest content creators to grace this fucking planet, bruv? One of the greatest content creators in the world, bruv! Stephanie Sterling, bruv! Has put out great videos. I'll be right back, boys.
Triple Changer Sandstorm transforms from dune buggy to copter to robot, and Broadside transforms from carrier to jet to copter to robot, from dune buggy to robot to jet to robot. To fight Decepticon, Triple Changer Octave, who transforms from tanker to jumbo jet.
Alright. Alien Queen. Check this out though. Get the arms like that. Put them there like that. Let's say like that, right? And then oh my god, but you're probably wondering why I gathered you here to show you the Alien Queen eating a hypothetical arse, tonguing it hell for leather. Well, today's episode is about toys and games and nostalgia and how we've made all those things bad for each other and our children. You gotta think of the children. I mean, you don't, they're shitheads, but it's what people say. Mostly dickheads. It was a good night for the Pokemon Company, a bad night for basic human dignity, as a Pennsylvanian Walmart opened its doors and grown men flooded violently inside to fight each other for Pokemon cards. Literal decades of technological, philosophical and cultural advancement were undone in a wanton display of pure fucking embarrassment. Seriously, this one video of people fighting over Pokemon cards has both figuratively and literally undone anything the Renaissance ever gave us. It started small. A few bros with shopping carts hurriedly making their way inside before one or two broke away from the pack to obtain their prize ahead of the rest. Those breakaways initiated the sense of urgency that spurred the rest into fleet-footed and slow-witted action, which then transitioned to full-fledged territorial disputes and wanton chaos. And this is how we die, folks. As corporate dystopia burns and breaks everything around us, as the planet overheats and societal disparity logically enters its brutal phase of unquestionable unsustainability, we go down as a species, pummeling each other for a JPEG of a rat on basic card stock. There's a Pokemon card shortage, you see. Thanks in no small part to the pandemic, the Nintendo franchise's decades popular card spin-off has seen lacking supplies and as such has failed to meet demand. This has led to grown adults competing fiercely for the children's cards, many of whom do not actually have children themselves. Like locusts, they swarm any yielding source of Pokemon cards, skittering away once the shelves are stripped bare of precious resources, leaving the unfortunate behind to starve in their devastating wake. In fairness, an actual swarm is metaphorical for the most part. While Pokemon cards are indeed ridiculously hard to get right now and customers are fighting each other for the scraps, actual physical altercation or wild crowd rushes are more of an exception. However, the rush itself is still real, the competition is still fierce, and the shame at what we've become, at least for me, is downright palpable. Making the shortages worse are those who have been buying up all the cards to resell at a ludicrous premium. This is of course not a new practice, it's something that absolutely ruined and continues to ruin the chances of average customers getting a hold of PS5s and Series X's. Either by getting lucky or using automated bots, so-called scalpers will buy up an entire store of goods and there'll be no shortage of suckers who'll pay the obscene markup. Around the time PS5s and Series X's were being sold for upwards of $1,000 on eBay, a set of McDonald's Happy Meal tie-in Pokemon cards had to be restricted per customer over fears that they'd be bought up and sold on eBay for thousands of dollars. McDonald's was right to do it because in the past that's exactly what happened. Only this past February, McDonald's had its own Pokemon card shortage when 25th anniversary card sets were totally bought out and then turned up on eBay. We need to not gloss over what I just said, by the way. McDonald's had to restrict Happy Meals for kids because adults kept buying them to sell them at prices kids couldn't afford. And only we as a people could take fun cards for children and turn them into a sad profiteering racket at the figurative and literal expense of the very children they were designed for. Only we as a generation could find the nerdiest, most infantile way to ruin the future for our kids the way our parents ruined it for us. Only with far, far
we'll go ahead and
lower
finish out
stakes.
this video.
The generational divide is mostly a made-up thing to keep us
medicine.
fighting each other while the mega-wealthy continue helping themselves to fucking everything, but significant periods of time spent in a collective culture will nonetheless create measurable differences between groups of people across a timeline. Yes, there is an arbitrary nature to dividing us up generationally, but there's little doubt the experiences of those born in the 80s and 90s differ vastly from the experiences of those born in the 60s and 70s. One of those key differences is having a future. Millennials are highly disenfranchised compared to baby boomers. Thanks to a vast amount of fuck you got mine attitudes, there is a generation that got free educations, cheaper housing, a living wage, retirement, all the things that in today's culture are practically fetishized. Meanwhile, those who got all the breaks are telling the rest of us we're entitled, lazy, and have too many genders. There's a generation of people who had the luck and the opportunity to become millionaires and even billionaires, and they pour their resources resources into staying on top by keeping everyone else down. Like a person who thinks we've won gay equality and therefore shouldn't help trans people. Fuck you, Matthew Paris.
Damn
you
right.
treacherous fuck.
Eat
Trans
shit.
people fought on the front lines for you.
I don't know where, like...
These fuck faces are
where
aided and abetted.
gay and lesbian people get off, like... And this isn't gay and lesbian people, but I'm talking about TERFs in particular. That, like... Or, I mean, I guess you don't have to be a TERF. You could just be LGBT or LGBTQ. Like... Or that, although they typically just want to stick with LGB, those types. But, like, that kind of shit never made any sense to me. Because this is... I mean, the entire point of that community was that everyone is a vanguard, essentially. Like, everyone together so you don't fall. Like, pride marches and big communities started popping up after Stonewall. So, to fucking invoke Stonewall's name and then act like trans people didn't do a huge amount to help you, kinda nutty. Because trans people were a huge portion of Stonewall. I don't know. It seems like either people say shit without thinking about what they say, or they fully know and understand what they were saying and, like, what points were incorrect but don't care, you know?
By those who never became anywhere near as successful but continue to believe the outright lie of the American dream and have tricked themselves into believing they'll be wealthy too one day if they just keep simping for avaricious vulturine monsters. Millennials have been accused of killing every single industry in existence, according to at least a decade of think pieces.
Killed the
mostly
diamond
by
industry.
older millennials who think that millennials are still all just teenagers, even though the eldest among us are pushing 40. Not me, definitely not me. Yet more of these think pieces come from the baby boomer generation, who sneer at kids for being too lazy to afford things like golf and diamonds when they're just trying to make rent. Seriously, I've seen a "millennials are killing the diamond industry" headline before.
Yeah.
Like, that fucking matters. Like, we're thinking about diamonds. These articles are stupid.
I've also seen one that's like, millennials are killing the hotel industry. Millennials are killing the vacations industry. Like, yeah, you fucking wonder why, homie? I don't have... Like, we got rent money and that's it. Like, we got money for rent and food and a little bit of weed. Which is legal in my state, by the way. Don't ban me, Twitch. But, like, for real, I don't know what makes these dudes think that millennials, like, have the money to go and, like, go on vacation, buy diamonds, go to resorts, go on cruises. I saw that. That was one I saw, too. Killing the cruise industry. Like, because millennials don't have the money to do these things. Like, or sorry, they think that, like, we just don't want to do these things and that we're wasting our money in elsewhere, other places. But it's like, bro, you're listing luxury things off over and over and over again. And then going like, well, they just want to spend money on their avocado toast. Like, yeah, no shit. Millennials don't fucking have the kind of money to go and do any of these vacations and shit like that. And, like, if you're talking about buying a home or, like, starting a business and things like that, fuck no. Millennials don't have the money or the credit score to be able to go and purchase a home. Like, so instead we spend our larger purchases are still, like, large sums of money at times, but it's for shit like fucking video games and cards and shit. Because it's dopamine hits that you can do at a much, much smaller rate. Like, you can go and pick up that fucking rare card for like $140, $150, whatever. Instead of like, yeah, I spent $100 on this dinner at on this vacation. Like, it's It's the result. I mean, it's results of capitalism. And I'm not yelling at Jim Sterling or anything, or sorry, Stephanie Sterling. I don't know if he goes by Jim or not still, because it's the Jimquisition still, and like it's still on their profiles. So I don't know if they go by that or not anymore. But I'm trying to swap over to Stephanie for them anyway, just to like good practice it. Also, apologies if I said him at any point. I watched Jim Sterling for like a decade now, or Stephanie Sterling. I don't know. I've watched the Jimquisition for like a decade now, so it's a lot of programming that I'm having to get out of my head. You know what I mean? I've also pitched this show to a lot of people over the years, so like saying him is still in my head pitch.
It's the people
But
who
it is
write
they,
them, mere
them
tools
now.
of a socio-economic system that benefits greatly from pitting us against each other. The idea that millennials kill
Preach,
industries
brother.
by not buying things when they can't
Sister,
afford them in the first place.
Non-binary trash thing. I can't remember. I think he said, or I think they said their like gender was garbage or something like that at one point. Like, but yeah, they're non-binary.
Smacks of pure self-entitlement on behalf of those industries, and speaks to the ridiculously paradoxical expectations corporations have, where they want us to keep paying more and more money into a system that gives us less and less to spend. In short, millennials didn't kill
same problem I
anything,
have
despite
with,
years and years of accusations to the
college.
contrary. Well, I say
College opportunities, like opportunities coming out from college, have gotten less and less, while college has gotten more and more expensive. And even those opportunities, if they're there in number, their pay has either stagnated or gone down over the years. So makes less and less sense to even consider college.
they didn't kill anything. But when I do, I'm only talking about the industrial. Conceptually, this generation to which I grimly belong did mercilessly murder at least one thing of note. We killed fun, both for our children and for ourselves. A few weeks back, I acquired an old Game Boy Advance as a spur-of-the-moment thing. I loved that little system and just wanted to grab some games, but soon found out that was easier said than done. While some titles were affordable, it has to be said that right now GBA games cost silly fucking money. I mean, we're talking about thousands for some of the most expensive ones. A boxed copy of the Minish Cap can be found for $2,500, while Final Fantasy Tactics Advance can cost around $3,000. Unsurprisingly, the biggest offender here is Pokemon.
That's insane,
so yeah, if
dude.
you're the parent of a young kid who you think might have fun playing some retro systems, be aware, you might get completely put off and just start running emulators instead,
an
like
emulator.
I did didn't. No, only joking, I totally did it. I pirate things too and I fucking love it. eBay is a
Damn right, dude. Run an emulator. If you're trying to play games that are no longer being sold by actual like retailers, by people who are the publisher would be making money off of that sale. There's no point, unless you want the physical copy and you're doing collector shit and not just emulating the games now. You're harming no one. There is literally no market that you're harming there. And it's absolutely ludicrous for games to be going for $150,000. Fuck it. It's ridiculous if you have to pay $150 for a copy of Pokemon Ruby version. Like, $150,000 is nuts. Maybe I'd go, okay, it's an old game. No, it's hard to find copies. $100, $120. I might, if I really, really, really wanted that game again, and to have a physical copy for memorabilia sake, I might think of that. But there's these games cost thousands of dollars now. It's ridiculous.
Great place to look when you want to see millennials ruin the concept of fun. Many of you will know I like old shit and tat, especially old toy lines. While I have some fondness for your Transformers and your Thundercats, it's the less mainstream lines that really excite me, such as Horror Pet, Incredible Crash Dummies, and Mighty Max. That reminds me, Ashens, I want your Manta Force ship. I'll pay. Having spent some time acquiring plenty of these toys for Stephanie.
Like, the Jimquisition has been one of my favorite shows on YouTube for pretty much 10 years since I first saw one of their episodes. Like, I fucking love the Jimquisition. I'm a legit stan.
Sterling's heaving toy chest, which I've got to do for the name alone, I've gotten to see millennials not just ruin fun for kids, but for each other in real time. Toy collecting among people my age is not uncommon, and it's not just because of midlife crises, though that's doubtless part of it. While our parents got to fight over cars and swimming pools, we're left hunting down street sharks and battle beasts. Compared to our elders, we're competing for some really fucking low stakes, but compete we do, and let me tell you, the toy market is amazing. I once watched a single monster in my pocket sell for over $300 once.
Holy
I just
shit.
sat there and kept checking in on it to watch the price tick up and up.
That's insane. Like, a single one of those plastic figures go for over $300. That's nutty. Okay. We had enough fun. It's time to get serious. Let me scroll through these and see, like, which one of these I want, or which ones I want to do. Because I'm gonna do more than one. Oh, they're all pretty short, actually. I might just do them all. Shit. That video's too long. I saw one that looks pretty good, but it's like 25 minutes long. So maybe we'll I'll save that for like a check later, and we'll no, close player, and we'll do that on like Saturday or something. Yeah. Let's see, I got 45. Yeah, I can rock this. We can rocks with it. What order I want to do these in, though? Sorry, I'll set this up real quick and we'll be A-okay. We'll be going. Okay. Since the Israel and Palestine ceasefire, there's been a lot of people who have stopped covering it really immediately and stopped caring, even though it's a ceasefire in name only, and Israel has been continuing the evictions in Sheikh Jarrah and has also continued airstrikes. Like, last time I covered this, they had just gone in and or at least covered specifically them breaking their ceasefire. They had just gone into Al-Aqsa and were arresting people and throwing, tear gas, flashbangs, normal things to do at a mosque. And that was the end of that. But now it's gotten to the point where, they fired rockets again. Like, the ceasefire is just in name only. And unfortunately, after seeing the word ceasefire, a lot of, at least the American left and the American coverage in general, kind of forgot and ceased to exist. Just started talking about, like, anti-Semitism happening here, because there have been a wave of anti-Semitic attacks. And while that is very terrible, I do agree, anti-Semitism is a massive problem in the U.S., and worldwide that needs to be tackled and dealt with directly. There's still a occupation going on in Palestine, and I still want to do a bit of coverage on it. I'm going to be at least doing a little bit of this for as long as people still at least a small handful of people watch it. As soon as it becomes untenable for me to cover, I'll have to stop, but until then, I'm going to want to keep on going over at least some of what's going on there, so you can see see that this is ongoing. This isn't something that just ends when a certain attack ends. This is a problem that, unless the international community actively works to deal with, we will have continue, and it will never stop until Israel gets what it wants and there's no more Palestine, or until we step in. Those are the only two ways this ends. So, with that in mind, what I want to do today is we're going to be taking a look at some videos. Shit, sorry. I fucking needed water and I couldn't find it. We're going to be taking a look at some videos so you can see what the life is like in the Gaza Strip. We'll probably on Saturday we'll do East Jerusalem. But for today, we're gonna take a look at what life is like in the Gaza Strip post the Israel blockade, and then we're gonna look at some videos that are showing what it's like in 2021 currently. So start out here. We'll go ahead and just go based on how the change has happened since the blockade has came into the Gaza Strip. And actually, sorry, you know what? Now, as much as I like to be up on my history on this kind of stuff, I do not remember the year that the blockade started, so I need to look it up. It was 2000 something. I think it's 4 or 3. Five. I was wrong. I was off by a year. So, yeah. And it originally started in 1993. Okay. 2005 blockade's where it started. Yep. Okay. So yeah, this is where a large portion of the problems for life and people in Gaza has started. This blockade has had devastating effects to the people who live here.
Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have entered their 13th year under a suffocating siege imposed by Israel. The blockade that dictates day-to-day reality for people in Gaza, where Israel controls the borders, airspace and waters, while Qatar continues to fund welfare payments to the Palestinians who are...
And that is all true, by the way. Israel controls who can go and travel through that border. It controls the water, it controls the electricity, it controls, like they said, it controls the borders. So not only Palestinians, but they also control if humanitarian aid and certain humanitarian aid is allowed into the region. Like, it is, when people say that Gaza is an open air prison, they aren't exaggerating. Israel has full control over the livelihoods and lives of the people inside of Gaza, and who's allowed to come in and go out of Gaza. The only difference is that there's just there's no cells and a rec yard. Like, it's a city instead. That's the literal only difference.
Impoverished. Without adequate electricity, water and health services, WION gets you an exclusive report on living under siege in Gaza. Take a look.
Hold on, boys. Let me do a quick scan. Let's do a quick scan of this off camera here real quick. I didn't even think to check to see if there's any TOS on here. I'm not seeing any bodies so far. I think we'll be good. Yeah, I think we're good.
This is a part of the world where I couldn't have reached without going through underground tunnels. Gaza is a city older than Christianity, Islam and Judaism. A caravan...
I don't know when this was shot. But there have been periods of time where journalists were not allowed into Gaza at all. So like that's what she means by having to go through tunnels. Like, I don't know what time period she did her recordings or anything during, or like exactly when this report's from, but Israel is known for like declining allowing reporters and journalists into Gaza from time to time.
One point of strategic importance from the earliest times, it was constantly involved in the wars between Egypt and Syria and the Mesopotamian powers. Hamas and Israel reached a Qatari brokered deal on August 31st. This came after tension grew in the Gaza Strip, with incendiary balloons lighting fires in Israel in an effort to force it to ease the siege in place on Gaza since 2006. So with the latest understanding, will the 14-year-old siege end? What has been Gaza under siege? We bring you to a throwback from the year 2013, as the situation till date remains the same. Today, amidst the Israeli...
Yeah, like, absolutely, the situation in Gaza from 2013 to now has not changed. Like, there's not been much movement. I mean, it's considerably worse right now because it's post-bombing at the moment. But, like, overall, the conditions on how Palestinians are treated and what goes on in Gaza, that hasn't changed. Like, the way the IDF goes in and has been behaving as an occupying force, that hasn't changed at all. And you know what actually does need to change? I need to change my title. Sorry. One thing real quick. I changed my title. Yeah. That should be good. Okay. Alright, let's go. We're back in it, boys.
Palestinian conflict still on. Gaza is a besieged strip measuring 360 square kilometers. The only way there is through Egypt, so I flew to Cairo first. From Cairo, with an Egyptian taxi driver crossing over the Suez on a bridge named Peace Bridge, we reached the Sinai Peninsula.
If I remember, I believe there's also a Egyptian blockade as well on Gaza, which isn't doing great for him.
This is Al Arish, the last stop before the borders. When I reached Rafah, the official borders were closed because there's a blockade on Gaza.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought that there was a blockade from Egypt as well.
To go with the locals to this other area where the houses have hidden rooms leading to the underground tunnels. It is somehow like a bus stop moment. This man is a Tunisian on his way inside.
I didn't add this music to the background or anything, by the way. It's kind of a weird choice for them to make for it. But and this isn't like the only other ways. Like, you can either do what she did and go through a tunnel system to get in, or you can Conan O'Brien it and get the Israeli government to allow you in. Like, and it's not an easy task to get the Israeli government as a reporter to let you into Gaza to report. Like, they want to be pretty sure that you're going to come out on the
As we
positive
emotionally
end for
wait,
them.
the colleagues who work in Gaza radio stations were able to get me a permit, and I was allowed in the tunnel. It is a 4-minute walk with the dangers of death any moment. Israel could bomb us here, or simply the tunnel might collapse. Why the tunnels? Because ever since Hamas Islamic Resistance was elected and given control over Gaza, Hamas's victory prompted sanctions by Israel, the United States, and the European Union, each of which had placed the organization on its official list of terrorist groups. A series of sanctions that included power cuts, heavily restricted imports, and border closures. These tunnels to Egypt remain the source of food, fuel, medicine, electronics, weapons, and obviously, people.
Yeah, it's like, then don't get me wrong, Hamas, as it's operating, is absolutely a terrorist force that is attacking Israel. And I mean, sanctions are a way to handle things like that. But cutting off power, water, food, and everything to essentially to create a destitute zone, and having that heavy of sanctions, like you're not even allowing medicine in through normal means, only creates strife, poverty, and pain that will create more and more radicalized Hamas members. Like, Hamas knows this, Israel knows this, America knows this. That's part of the game plan. And I mean, Israel, once again, it literally was foundational in the creation of Hamas. Obviously, they didn't, it's not like they sent out their own agent and, they just made Hamas. It is them. But they were absolutely foundational in assisting the founder of Hamas to oust a socialist government. So, they got exactly what they wanted. They ousted the people that they wanted to oust. And then got to drop sanctions on a militant terrorist group that they helped create. This is absolutely
Inside
all about
Gaza,
a long
the
power
only
grab
self-governed
and land
Palestinian
grab.
piece of land, we get to have a closer look on
And these people suffer for it.
what Hamas is and how it governs. I interviewed fighters, secular and Islamic, activists, feminists, musicians, opinionated college students, and politicians. I found out that Gaza people are not also happy about the Islamic Hamas's government, but when on the
Really?
board, there's no luck.
Oh, really? You found out that not all, the people who live in Gaza, who have the only option they have is Hamas, aren't too happy with the government that has them under a blockade currently. Surprise. I'm not upset at her or anything. It is upsetting to me, however, that people think that Palestinians are, in this massive support and just hate, Israeli Jews or something. And, they're all terrorists that just want, love Hamas and want Israel gone. Hamas is the option they have right now. That's the only option they got.
To oppose the armed group defending you, some said. I found out that there is an Orthodox church and around 1,500 Christians living here. I found that they use the Israeli currency and export agricultural products.
They also have a different little, identification card. You should ask them about that. Ask what the different colors mean.
Regardless of the high levels of poverty and overpopulation here, some of the politicians managed to make
I believe
millions
it's 70% of the adult males in Palestine currently are unemployed.
of dollars. I discovered
That might be Gaza specifically and not Palestine. I'd have to look up the statistic again. But I believe it's around 70% of at least people, their adult males in Gaza are unemployed at the moment.
the Qatari flags on the boats of the fishermen, the Turkish statue at the besieged port, the Iranian flag at the checkpoint between Gaza and the Israeli troops. I discovered that Hamas is the link between Iran and Qatar, and that Gaza might be their common ground. I met this man who was injured in the war but kept on fighting, till he later was killed while protesting with a flag, and now is known as one of the bravest martyrs of Gaza.
That's so ridiculously sad, dude. Literally, man died after losing both of his legs during what was likely another protest that he lost his legs during. I can't say that for sure, but he lost his legs during the conflict in the last, like, 40 years. Then to be killed during a protest while you're waving a flag. I mean, it's just like I've shown you before of those snipers at the border just taking pot shots at children during a protest. It's a violent occupation of... Well, Israel is participating in a violent occupation that's just killing indiscriminately.
We discovered ancient history in the streets, where every conqueror, crusader, Canaanite, Persian, Arab, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, or Ottoman Empire resided for a period of time. But most importantly, I learned from the man who lived here in this building, Napoleon Bonaparte, that Gaza is the outpost of Africa and the window to Asia. It was back then when he occupied it, and it will always be.
It is still now. Like, that is literally why we care about the area, is because of the strategic importance it has to the rest of the Middle East for us. Like, that's literally the entire reason why we care. Let's see. Where are we going to go next? Yeah, we'll go here.
She rarely leaves her home, overwhelmed by dark thoughts. Her husband lost his job 4 years ago. Since then, they have gradually sold all their belongings to survive. Now there's not much left, and the family's in debt.
And, I mean, what options are there for them, really? Like, there's not any economic movement happening in Gaza because of those blockades and sanctions. The only people who even have a possibility of getting somebody any work in Gaza are Hamas. So you have the options of join up, support Hamas, get a little bit of money and get food, and like do whatever it is they need. Because I mean, they're building up hospitals, basic infrastructure, and what have you in the area. Or starve, sell off all your stuff, and die. Which is still a very distinct possibility, because it's not like Hamas has infinite jobs for the people in the area either. It's not like there's a economic boom going on anywhere. There's no one rich there, is what I'm saying. Like, there's definitely people who are better off than the others, but there's no wealth in Gaza.
There's no point in hoping. The situation gets worse by the day. Each time there's a little calm, something bad follows. I have to beg our neighbors for some food. Sometimes I only have a cup of tea or sandwich filled with lettuce to feed my children.
Nahid says she's tried to take her life more than once. She feels guilty for punishing her children, and her suicidal mood is affecting the entire family. Palestinian...
That's such a... Sorry. That's... You can't imagine. I can't imagine what that has to feel like. To feel that everything is so hopeless. And not wanting to have to put your children through that torture. Making attempts on your life because things are so hopeless. And then feeling the guilt of having to put your family through you trying to kill yourself and then wondering if you're going to do that again. All spurred by someone there not being any economic opportunity in the area. And these people there is no hope for a chance to get better. There's absolutely nothing and no hope at all there. I mean, it's not, I'm going to assume that her husband being out of work for 4 years isn't exactly a choice. Isn't something that he's, just being lazy about or something. Like, I will bet that he is trying just as hard as he can to try and find any type of work, anything to do to make a little bit of money so that they can try to eat.
In Gaza are finding it more and more difficult to live, and children are the ones suffering the most. Tamer was only 4 when he saw his cousin killed by an airstrike during the war in 2014. The images still haunt him.
That's another really big thing too. Like you heard, I think it's Steve Sasebi is his name, the CEO of the PCRF. One of the big things they do is deal with children with PTSD in Gaza and the West Bank, because I think it was, God, what was the rate on something like it? Hold on. Children PTSD rate Gaza. It was something like crazy, like 40%. 35.9% and 30 for PTSD and 30% for anxiety. So yeah, 35% of like Gazan children have PTSD, and that's diagnosed PTSD or an anxiety disorder. And that's from seeing their friends and family members, neighbors, community members have bombs dropped on top of them as they're being told, no, it's just to like what they'll hear from the other side is, no, it's just to protect us because, and I am not kidding you, a prime minister of Israel has said this. Palestinian mothers care more, Palestinians' mothers care more about killing Israelis than they love their children. That is something that a prime minister of Israel has said. That's the kind of disgusting rhetoric that gets pushed out over on the other side of this border. And over here, you have almost 40% of the children with PTSD, because what that has been used to justify is bombing their friends and families' homes, hospitals, and schools.
He was in the school that was bombed. He saw the massacre that happened.
How come I fucking knew it was going to be a school? Like, sorry, I'm getting really heated here. But, like, I just knew it was going to be a school. Because it always is. It's always a hospital. It's always a school. It's always infrastructure. It's always either infrastructure or where someone lives.
There, and since then he's not the same. He's never recovered. He's violent. He wants to hit people all the time. He's very scared. He talks about it all the time.
Mental health doctors say each round of violence adds new trauma to the old unresolved ones.
Of course.
Well, and that's going to be true for that child too. Absolutely, because God, that's he went through that the first time, and now he still lives in Gaza. Israel's not going to stop bombing Gaza. It is not a possibility, it's a likelihood that at some point in this child's life in Gaza, he'll be, at the very least, neighbors with someone whose house gets bombed, go to a hospital that will be bombed, go to another, like, work in a school that will get bombed. It's a likelihood for him to experience more and more and more of this violence and more of these strikes. Not even just in the same city or vicinity as him, but it's a likelihood that he will have a direct incident again.
Of course, many people are disturbed by the situation. There are no salaries. They are worried about the economy and the political situation. They wonder how they're going to go ahead. Now there are also parents worried because their children have gone to protest at the fence and they don't know what to do.
The fence that that's the fence that I showed you the article from, where there were 46 children who had their limbs shot by snipers in one day. Like, that's why they're worried, because these children are literally being shot at by snipers while they protest. And what are the children supposed to do? They have no, when they grow up, there's not going to be a job for them to go to. They'll have to grow up and deal with this anger somehow. And they can't even protest. Not even join Hamas to retaliate, whatever. That's obviously, you can't just allow that to happen, but they're not even allowed to protest without being shot at by IDF.
Teenagers are the most difficult to control. Yasser left his blind mother home to join the protests along the border fence with Israel. We had met him and
That's
his friends several
probably
weeks
how
ago
that happened to
in
his
one
leg.
of the encampments. They complained about growing up under siege. They compared Gaza to a big cage. They threw stones,
That's what it is. It is an open-air prison through and through.
burned tires, and attempted to cut the fence. Each time, Yasser was hoping it would be the last.
I was telling the soldiers to shoot me here, in the head, because I'm fed up with my life. I can't read or write. I'd like to know how to. I can't find work. The world is closed for me. That's why I go throw stones. If I had a job, I wouldn't. I prefer.
And that's the excuse that the snipers always give for why these kids get shot at, by the way. Because they light tires on fire to create smoke, and they throw rocks and run at the fence. That's why these kids get shot at on the daily. Because they're throwing rocks and running at the fence. Like, I don't care what justification you want to use. Like, honestly, if you see a 12-year-old with a gun at the protest, probably not a great idea to pop them. Probably not a great fucking look. But like, this is down to lighting tires on fire to create smoke and running at fences and throwing rocks. And that's why he got maimed.
Prefer to be in an Israeli jail. It's better than here.
Yasser lost 2 fingers, was shot in the legs, and saw his friends die next to him. Now he says he was lucky to survive, even if the reality he and others tried to escape is still very much here. Huda Abdelhamid, Al Jazeera, Gaza.
And that's not like that's no fringe tale of something happening in Palestine either. Like, children being shot at, teenagers being shot at the specifically that border protest happens constantly. That is still happening to this day. I'm guaranteeing you that it happened today. Because it happens literally constantly. This occupation leaves these children in a position where anger and violence is the only option that they have. Protesting is the only option that they have. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to work, there's no way to get food, there's no way to get medicine, there's no way to learn to read or write to try to better your situation at all. You're stuck with the options you have of vote Hamas, go to the protest, pray that this ends. And don't get it twisted. That's intentional. Like, Israel knows exactly what it's doing when it's bombing infrastructure and when it's killing the country's only neurosurgeons, when it's when it's bombing the health ministry for Gaza. Like, it knows exactly what it's doing. There is no mistake in it. I'm gonna assume he's just like selling stuff like that's like a dude, you know, like one I don't know what they're really called, but I always called them like carnival barkers, you know, like come here, I got the best fruits. See, these fruits go for days. Even people in Gaza wear meth. Fuck. Oh, why are we the worst? God damn it. Even people in a war-torn area who have no money or any way to get to like move around to live life, really, like, even they wear masks when they go to the market. What the fuck is wrong with Americans, dude? Like, I still see there's people without masks, yeah, but I see more masks than not here. Hold on, let me scan through this. Is this just them shopping? Yeah, I mean, that was a cool, like, platter that you made there. I don't know what it is, but it looks tasty. Like, cool. Okay, this is just them at a supermarket, isn't it? Alright. Yeah, we're not. There's no point in me going through that. Okay, weird. Just fucking weird.
When I stumbled across a high school graduation in Gaza City, it was disorienting. I could have been in Southern California or suburban New Jersey. Eager, excited kids in their caps and gowns.
I mean, yeah. Like, absolutely. You have to be really excited and really happy to be graduating in Gaza. Like, your school didn't get bombed. Well, your school probably got bombed somewhere along the way. But you were in a situation where you could continue to go to school, learn to read and write, and maybe be able to make some money. Like, yeah, you absolutely. Like, they should be extremely proud of this, too. Not only should they be ecstatic that they have this opportunity, but they should be extremely proud that they were able to go through a war-torn situation, go live in constant occupation, and graduate. Like, it's really impressive. It really is.
We as a generation have so much to offer the world, even though others don't believe so.
And then, a big dance party. But these graduates of Gaza's American International School are the privileged few, the sons and daughters of the elite. They've come of age in a place that's been under blockade since they were 7 years old.
Like,
and even they can't be sure that
I was thinking that these have to be politicians' kids and shit, right?
They'll ever get out.
Like,
the other 99% of Gazans are far worse off. They're stuck here, in one of the most densely populated places on Earth.
Look how packed that is, dude. Like, Gaza is... hold on, let me look it up, because I remember there being... It's really, really crazy. Population density. Ranking, I guess. I don't know. This is by countries, isn't it? Can I type Gaza and it won't come up? Damn it. Yeah, it's because I need to do city. Damn it. Gaza isn't on. It isn't even in the list. Are you kidding me? It's somewhere around, like, it's right next to New York. I remember that. Like, it's nuts. Oh, well, fuck it. I'll look that up later. I'll put it up in our Saturday stream.
With little or no work, sporadic electricity, filthy water, and worsening public health. The most acute shortage is of hope. Since March, thousands have gathered in protests demanding a right of return to their ancestral homes in what is now Israel. The protests were the idea of a young activist. He imagined masses of people camping out peacefully along the Israeli fence that hems in Gaza.
Yeah, there was no chance that was ever happening. I mean, let's be real. I agree with the protests' right to be there, and that they do have a right to return. I absolutely do agree with that. But there was a 0% chance that protest was ever going to be people peacefully just camping out along the border of Gaza. Like, the IDF was never going to let that happen. And honestly, the way that tensions have to be risen up in the region, like, there was no chance that no one was going to at least throw a rock or something at some point.
Then knocking it over and walking across, making a point, if nothing else.
لماذا نموت بالصمت في بيوتنا؟ لماذا لا نخرج ونطرق جدران السجان؟
But he lost control of what he had started. Hamas, the militant group that has run Gaza since 2007, took over.
Yep.
The demonstrations...
Which, by the way, hold on, just in case, because I mean, I say Hamas was fundamentally brought about by Israel, right? Let's go Hamas founding, sorry, because you saw a very, very important name there just now, and that's why I say Hamas was early, like very early on, supported by Israel. Where is it? Yassine, where are you, Yassine? Ahmed Yassine. Like, Ahmed Yassine was literally just on screen. Like, but people will sit there and try to tell you that no. Israel had nothing to do with that foundation, brother. What you talking about?
Gave Hamas a way to put themselves on the side of their frustrated constituents and rage against a common enemy, Israel. The protest camps set up along the fence can make you do a double take. In parts, they look like a community festival, a carnival, a fair, like a distant cousin to Burning Man. Women prepare falafel sandwiches.
Okay, well, maybe not the part where people are camping out and, like, eating and stuff, but that's kind of the way that protests go, unfortunately. Like, the larger swath of the protests will be more peaceful, like, and it will be for what the original intent was. But when you have volatile situations like this, there are going to be small sects of people who are very upset and are going to, commit acts of violence. You see that with literally any type of protest. You throw it into a situation where there's a literal occupying force that's cutting off water and electricity from the region. You can see where it can get very, very easily co-opted by more radical groups.
Barbers give haircuts and trim beards. Lip syncers and dancers perform in the shade. Actors ham it up playing cruel Israeli soldiers. Families come with their children.
Okay. So, here's the one thing I really, really do not agree with. Don't ever bring your kids to a protest. Ever. Don't fucking ever bring your kids to a protest. Protests are not safe places. Even, like, it's where they're at there, where they're doing the camping and stuff like that. Maybe it's a bit more reasonable, but even then, dude, like, I've seen too many times where even protests in the US, places that should have been kind of safer areas where they're just literally people with bottles of water and, like, medical stations, get hit by the police and people get hurt there. Like, I've literally been at the medical tent while that happened. So, I personally would not bring your children to a protest ever. That's asking for whatever force you're protesting against to make your child a martyr. And that's disgusting to say and really, really unfortunate. But that's the reality that we live in. It's not safe to bring children to protests.
It all seems like fun, but closer to the fence, it looks more like a battle. The protesters, mostly young men, but some women and boys too, want to break through the barrier separating them from Israel. The soldiers are determined to stop them. Scores have been killed so far in Gaza. Thousands have been injured. Hamas calls the protests peaceful because nobody is firing rifles or rockets, they say. But Israel sees some in the crowds throwing grenades and Molotov cocktails. The protesters have organized themselves into teams. The rock throwers with their slings, the wire cutters who drag away coils of barbed wire. And the tired...
that's a... I don't think I've ever heard someone say something like that before. I want to smell the air in my land. Well, I've never gotten to do that before. That's... Whew.
Teams who collect and then burn tires to create a smokescreen against sniper fire. Other squads turn toys into firebombs. Rags soaked
There
in
are a lot of
gasoline
kites
are tied
that,
to frilly kites
that get
and
turned
sent
into like
flying toward
firebombs,
Israel.
essentially.
Acres of farmland.
But once again, these kites, like, to burn down farmland and stuff like that, is what Israel is using, like, a justification of shooting at people with rifles. Like, they're throwing rocks, burning tires, and cutting wire. Oh, sorry, also a burning kite. So that means it's okay for you to start taking pot shots at teenagers with your sniper, right?
And forest have burned. Ambulance crews circle in a loop, waiting until they hear gunshots, and running when they see someone fall. Nearby, doctors and nurses in hospital tents tend to the wounded.
I mean,
What the
bandage needs to be
protests
very
can
tight,
achieve
my dude.
is unclear.
Like,
the organizers talk about increasing international pressure on Israel to lift the siege of Gaza. And it seems like nothing would do more to accomplish that than a tremendous body count. It's all meant to ramp up to a climactic conclusion over 2 days. May 14th, with the U.S. Embassy's move to Jerusalem on the 70th anniversary of the State of Israel, and May 15th, when Palestinians remember that history as the Nakba, the catastrophe. The head of Hamas in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, now says that the protests will continue indefinitely until, he says, we break the siege.
it's... Look, you have... I've said it over and over again. If you have a people that are under siege like this, who you are limiting their access to food, water, medicine, education, I mean, literally bombing hospitals and the roads that... Oh, excuse me. Literally bombing hospitals and the roads that lead up to them, then you're going to have this radical pushback, this radical element that sees you as that occupying force and uses violence in turn to try to fight back against you. And, like, whether Hamas's aims are, like, virtuous or not, I personally don't think Hamas proper, like actual Hamas, really cares that much about Palestinians. I think that they care, but, like, I think that they want the Palestinian people to kick all the Jews out of Israel because that's what they've said. I think that's fucked. Anti-Semitism is fucked. Like, but a return movement doesn't need to be just that. Like, so continuing an occupation, continuing violence, continuing evictions, and continuing to put people into these destitute situations only furthers the aims and goals of Hamas because it gives them new recruits constantly, consistently. And Israel wants that too because it allows them to justify their project of trying to take more and more land. This is... I mean... There's not much else to say here. It's go look, make sure you're actually looking into who you donate to if you're going to donate, because there are a lot of Hamas-tied groups that you can donate to accidentally. But take a look at who you're going to donate to before you donate, if you're going to. And please just don't forget that this kind of occupation in Palestine is still ongoing, and that these people need help. Like, this violence doesn't end until Israel stops it. Alright, that's going to have to be the end of the stream for me today, guys. I called it. I'm not going to have literally any time for video games today. I am going to I'm going to go ahead and get myself ready for work. Hope you all have yourselves a fantastic day.